What are some things that you can do to get your indie game to connect more deeply with audiences? Hello, everyone. I am your host, the Mealtime Professor, and today we're going to be going over some ideas that you can implement to make your games perhaps a little more relatable to certain people. And for today's question specifically, I would like to ask you, what are three things you can do to make your game more attractive to people? So keep this question in the back of your mind as we move forward with the presentation. Now, the first thing I would like you to consider is primal stimulation. I want you to think about things that are very essential to the human experience, especially in our evolutionary timeline. Think about the things that we were doing perhaps when we were cavemen or Neanderthals, because even though people don't really think about these things consciously in the modern world, we've still evolved and adapted to these sorts of environments and circumstances. So when you think about this when creating games, I think it can give you an edge. And I think that this was especially true for Minecraft. Now, if you were to ask people why Minecraft is so popular, they would probably say something to the effect of, oh, it's a game where you can build anything. But that's not really the full explanation, because there were a lot of creative games before Minecraft, but none of them saw the same success that Minecraft did. And I believe that the reason Minecraft saw the success that it did is because it took advantage of what I just discussed. A lot of things in the game are very primordial, and they're things that we've evolved to do as human beings. You know, you think about stone tools, taming wolves, the monsters, which are really just symbolic for predators, especially since they come out in the dark. And especially the caves were key components to Minecraft very early on in the game's development. They've been around for a very long time. So think about things like this when you're making your indie game. I definitely don't think that Minecraft would have been as successful as it was if it didn't have these things. And a lot of other games started to incorporate these things probably because of this game. I even remember one of the game directors for Breath of the Wild said something to the effect of the fact that he took inspiration from Minecraft and Terraria when he was creating that Zelda game. And even Terraria itself took inspiration from Minecraft too. Now, the second thing I would like you to think about adding to your indie game are important decisions, especially those of a moral character. I kind of wish that more indie games did this. In fact, I was trying some free visual novels for my mobile device, and I was pretty disappointed to see that there was a lack of these kind of choices. At least I felt that way. With a lot of games, it can kind of feel like the player is just moving from point A to point B in the story without really being an active participant in it. But as game developers, especially indie game developers, we have a lot of tools at our disposal to make players feel more engaged in the story. And that's especially true with Ren'Py. And just as an indie game designer, you don't have the same constraints that big companies have. If you have to tweak something with your story, you probably aren't using mocap actors, or you might not even be using voice actors, so it's not really going to be too hard for you to make these sorts of adjustments to the story. Now, one game I think did this very well is Undertale. And in Undertale, essentially every battle you get into is an important moral decision. And depending on who you kill and who you spare, This will affect character dialogue, and it'll affect the ending that you get at the end of the game. So think about this too as you make your indie game. And I want you to think about something else as well. I make content for the indie game developer. I plan on making much more content like this too in the future. So if this is something that you're going to be interested in seeing, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll be very happy to provide you with more content like this. Now, the last thing I would like you to consider for your indie game is leaving things open to interpretation. Don't feel like you have to explain everything to people. In fact, not only will you be wasting your time and resources doing that, but it may actually take away from people's ability to interpret your work. And this sort of vagueness can be very useful as a storytelling tool, especially for a main character. And it's not just a storytelling tool, it's just an artistic tool in general. Allowing people to interpret your work, I think, is a key component in the artistic experience. Now, one game I think handles this thing, especially with the main character, very well is Halo. And think about the Master Chief. He never shows his face, at least in the games. And the fact that Master Chief has this sort of anonymous identity allows players to relate to him, because they can't see facial features on him that they can't identify with themselves. So the fact that you don't really know who the Master Chief is can allow you to feel like you're in that armor. In fact, I used to say, if you want to know what Master Chief's face looks like, look into his visor and see your own reflection. So that is going to do it, at least for this video. If you want to learn more about why I think Minecraft was as successful as it was, I'm going to link a video in the description where I go into that. And I would also like to thank you for watching this far. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the comments below. I would be very interested to see what you have to say. Thank you for watching, and if you're eating right now, I hope you enjoy the rest of your meal.